Alright, today I'm going to be removing the center console, which is right here, the center console of my Grand Prix GXP. This is an 08. Now, the removal process is pretty simple. Shouldn't take more than 15 minutes for you to get this thing out, and it pretty much is the same across all the 2004 to 2008 Grand Prix. There's a few subtle differences as far as you may not have the HUD selector, you may have one of those pop-out cups, and you may not have the traction control. You also may have the standard shift, which adds a 1, 2, 3 here, and I have the tap shift, obviously. So a few subtle differences, but the removal is pretty much identical. So, like I said, 15 minutes, you should get this thing out. Now, why am I removing this? A couple reasons. For one, the 194 bulb that is underneath here that illuminates the gear selector is burnt out. I need to replace that. For two, I have a burnout bulb in my HUD, and I'm going to take it apart to see if I can replace the bulb with an LED. And for three, in between the seats is nearly impossible to clean. And I don't care what kind of a reputable company or how much experience you have detailing the interiors of cars. The seats are in the way, no matter how far forward or how far back you go. So you'll never be able to really clean in between the seats. You can do an okay job, but you know, the stuff that you wouldn't think falls in between the seats, they get stuck in there. Food or whatever else will get stuck in there. And my center console is in dire need of cleaning. I stopped eating in my car because I realized how much food falls all over my car. Either I'm a pig, need a bib, or I just don't notice it. But so anyway, the process is pretty simple. Like I said, 15 minutes you should have you done. So I'm going to try to speed up this video as much as possible. The reverse install is pretty much the same. So let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, so the very first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clean out your console. That includes anything that might be inside, unless you don't think you're going to lose anything. But, you know, I have plenty of crap here. Here's my water absorber that doesn't work worth a damn. But anyway, go ahead and clean everything out, because you're going to be lifting this whole thing up and possibly tilting it, depending on how you can wedge it out of here. I've went ahead and cleaned everything out of my center console, including what's inside. I left a couple, I left my change in there, whoop-de-doo. But the first thing you're going to do before you actually start the extraction is to put the gear selector all the way back as far as you can go. So, for safety, hit your parking brake. That's so your car doesn't decide to roll away when you've got it in whatever gear. For me, it's manual. You might be 3 or 1. I can't remember if it's reversed or not. But anyway, so make sure that you have your parking brake on. And say hi to the squirrel. But anyway, parking brake is on, so I'm able to go ahead and bring the gear selector back. That's obviously going to require that the car be in at least accessory to unlock it. Foot on the brake, comes all the way back. Alright, so now I'm in manual. So now I can let my foot off the brake. Parking brake is set, car's not going anywhere. You will not be able to put your car all the way back to off. This is a safety feature. It looks like it's off, but you can't pull your key out. This is to let you know that you're in gear. So it's kind of like a dummy's way of making sure that you don't leave your car in gear after you've shut it off. So, but I obviously have my parking brake on, so not worried about that right now, but you won't be able to get your keys out. So, the reason that we have to bring the gear selector all the way back is to be able to get at a Phillips head screw, which you can see right there. This is a Phillips head screw, and we have to remove this in order to pull off the shift lever, excuse me. So, we're going to go ahead and remove that. Now, don't use a screwdriver that is too small, okay? When you use a medium-sized screwdriver, this is a short stub screwdriver so that I have plenty of room to move around. But you know, if you use something that's too small, you're going to strip that screw, and you're going to have a hell of a time getting this thing off here, okay? Because in order to get the console out, shift lever has to come off. So just take your time with it. You know, just feel around, make sure you have a good grip on it. Don't, you know, don't let it, you know, if it's slipping or whatever, you know, don't strip the screw is basically what I'm saying. You can see here, this is nice and tight. So I'm going to go ahead and get this unscrewed. Alright, screws out. You can see there's a screw. They put, what looks like a little bit of a Loctite on there, which I'm probably going to put some on as well after I'm done, but pretty small. Don't want to lose this, so for me, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to set mine right here where my instrument cluster is. So there's no way that I'm going to lose that, alright? The car's not going anywhere. So now that the screw is out, this should just slide right off, and it does. As you can see here, slides right off. Now, if you wanted to change your shift lever, because this is the leather, the perforated leather one, if you wanted to change your shift lever, then you're done. Okay, just you know, basically slide the new one on, put the screw back on, you're done. And they're all the same. There's no difference between any of them except for the material that it's made out of. But they install and remove the same way. So if you have a base model Grand Prix and you like the perforated leather that's available on the later model, I believe the 07, 08, and for the GXPs, then you're done. You know, there's this is kind of like a rubbery boot type here. It looks like a hose. But so anyway, yeah, shift lever, gear selector, shift lever, whatever you want to call it, is now out. So we can set that aside. Now, you would think that now is the time to go ahead and put it back in park, you know, whatever. But in order to get this center console out, if you have it in park, you're not going to be able to wedge it out of here without removing all of this stuff. And I'm choosing not to remove all this. So I'm going to leave this right where it's at. So the next thing to getting this out is to remove the 4 bolts that are at the base of the console. As you can see, there's one right there. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so here's the front of my dirty seat. And as you can see there, this is a 10mm bolt. There's 4 of them all together. There's 2 in the front of the seat, and there's 2 in the back, behind the seat. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your seat as far back as it'll go on both the passenger and the driver's side to be able to get access to all of them. You know, it's pretty easy. You know, they're easy to get to once you've got, I mean, this one's coming right out. So they're easy to get to once you've got the seat back or forward. So there's 4 of them all together. Do the front first, so you can get the seat all the way back on both passenger and driver's side, and then put the seats all the way forward to get at the rear ones. Pretty simple, pretty easy, and these are the only 4 that are holding the console in there. So, little side note, if you notice that your console is shaking back and forth a lot, just check the tightness of these because they may be loose. That's always possible. As you can see here, this rear one is much easier to get to. There's a lot more room there. So the seat's all the way forward, and I got plenty of room. So let's go ahead and get, I've got the front ones out, let's go ahead and get the rear ones out. Okay, all 4 bolts are out. That's what they look like. Put those in a safe spot so that you don't lose them, because you're going to need them. So I've went ahead and got all 4 of them out, and I'm ready to start removing or extracting the center console. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to get this thing out, it may be a little difficult at first because it's, you know, depending on how long it's been sitting there, but it sort of snaps in. It's hard to explain. It's not as if the thing is just, I mean, look, you can see here it's loose, but it's not going to just fall right out, you know. So if you were missing your 4 bolts and didn't know it, you might notice a little shake, but it's not like the console's just going to, you know, just fall right out or anything else like that. So basically, in order to get this out, where the 4 bolts were, you need to pull up. Get your fingers up underneath where there's you know, there's an indentation here, as you can see right there. You know, put your hand right there and just take it and pull up. And if it doesn't come up at first, go to the other side. And then just kind of work it a little bit all the way around. I'm going to do this with 2 hands. It's hard to do this with 1 hand. But just work it until it releases. You'll feel it'll detach. It'll like unsnap out of place. And once that happens, then you can move on to the next step. If you're having problems getting at the rear, which is what I'm getting at, then just move your seat forward again and lift. And you should have enough room to be able to just lift it, right up. As you can see, I already did mine, so mine's loose. But I gotta get the other side now. So I'm gonna have to move that seat all the way forward. Okay, so as you can see, it is detached. It is freely moving. There's nothing holding it to the floor anymore. So I can go ahead and start removing this. Now, before you just yank this thing all the way out and call it good, be aware. That switch there, your cigarette lighters or accessories, whatever you want to call them, all have wiring harnesses attached to them. So don't just rip this thing out, start hauling it away. You need to make sure you detach those first. There's enough length on the wiring harness that you can pull it out and get to the clips, the retainers. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to do that. Before I do that though, I kind of want to show you how easy it is once you've unlatched the center console, why you don't need to remove the front dash part. I'm basically lifting it up and I'm sliding it back. See there? It just slides right out. So you can easily get this thing out without any issues at all. You don't have to remove anything. And as you can see, that's why I have the gear selector all the way back, because it gives me the most amount of room to be able to slide this thing back and up. Okay, this is what it looks like underneath the center console. Sensor here. I'm not even quite sure what that is. Maybe somebody can tell me. But anyway, the tap shift, gear selector, so on, that's all one unit. It's separate. So it's separate from the center console. So if you had one that was damaged, or in my case it looks like it's been cut up here in the front, this is sold as one unit, and the last time I checked it was like 40 bucks for this, basically, that wraps around here. Obviously I need to get to that bulb that's underneath, so I'll show you how to remove that, which is pretty simple as well. But turn our attention back to the actual console itself. As you can see, here's all the different wiring that's underneath here. You got two accessory ports, my tap shift, my HUD. Those all need to be disconnected before this entire console here can come out. So just be aware of that. Okay, it's going to be difficult for me to do this one-handed and on camera, but essentially these things come right out. You need a small flat blade screwdriver, and I don't know if you can see that there under that that retainer right there. There's a tab. The tab comes out right there, and that tab has to be pushed in with a small flat blade screwdriver, and then the entire harness should come right out. Now don't yank it out. Take your time. You don't want to break it. Just take your time. Generally what I do is I take a flat blade screwdriver. I know this is a Phillips, but I take a flat blade and I'll push in on it while I'm wiggling the harness back and forth ever so slightly. I don't really jab at it. So that's pretty much how they all work. Every single one of these has some kind of a retaining clip on it. So just take your time and get them out so you don't break them. There is a second option. As you can see here, the wiring harness is all one unit for everything, okay? Everything that's in your center console is all one unit. If you don't have room, don't have the tools or whatever, you could detach this. There's a little retaining clip here. You see this right here? Pushed on this. I'm going to have to use two hands, so I can't do this with the camera. But you essentially push down on this and pull out. Pretty easy. Now, alright, let's go over a little disclaimer here. Of course, with anything when you're working on electronics, plugging in, unplugging, whatever, it is highly recommended that you have your battery disconnected, okay? So, disconnecting your battery, that's up to you. I'm just going to throw that out there, that I'm not responsible for you shocking yourself or causing a fire or whatever because you were basically stupid, didn't know what you were doing, or didn't follow any safety procedures. But anyway, obviously before you unplug anything, you're going to want to disconnect your battery. Okay, so harness is disconnected, as you can see here. Now the entire console is separated from the car. Okay, everything is separated from the car, so I can literally take this, which I'm going to do, take this whole thing inside. I'm going to start cleaning it. It needs to be cleaned really bad, as you can see here, pop or whatever has spilled. After I'm done with the console, and I'm going to show you all the bits and pieces and parts, I'm going to take it apart and show you how to clean it and all the other stuff. After I'm done with that, then I'm going to vacuum this out. I'm going to get the tap shift, the gear selector out of here so that you can see access to that bulb. But let's go ahead and get this inside and start cleaning it. Okay, so I have all the center console here inside drying. I applied the armor all finish to it, so I've got it drying at the moment, and I can turn my attention back to this. This is the actual tap shift indicator or gear selector, or whatever you want to call it, and it's pretty easy to get off. There's a couple of tabs here. There's a tab right there. I don't know how well you can see that. There's a tab, 2 tabs on each side, basically. Right there's another one. It's really hard to see, but those just have to be depressed with a flat blade screwdriver. And you can see here this notch. This actually allows the whole thing to slide forward slightly, or if you want to lift it up, either way. But this is just a notch that the whole thing slides into. So let's go ahead and get that out of there. Okay, I went ahead and removed the inserts here, and so now this thing is free to move. And the way you do this is you just slide it forward so that it gets out of these grooves here. As you can see there, just slide it forward, and then the whole thing should come up and out. Now be aware, underneath here there is the actual bulb harness, and it's really easy to get out. You just twist. I can probably do this one-handed, so I might not be able to show you, but you just twist clockwise and the whole thing comes out. See, just like that. Real easy. Now there's nothing that's keeping this from coming out. Turn, and there it is. As easy as that, comes right out. And there's all the guts that are underneath there. This is the perfect time to vacuum everything out. Now that everything is out of the way, you see all that dirt and crummy stuff and just about everything else that I've got going on here. Hard to believe. I've only had the car for 9 months and it's already like this. But you can also see there's some dirt that's gotten up underneath here. So basically, I'm not worried too much about making it all spick and span shiny and so on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to vacuum it out really good and make sure that I get any big loose debris that's in here, and then I can start putting everything together. This I'm going to bring inside. I'll bring this inside and clean it out. I'll also show you exactly how it all works. It's actually pretty simple. I can probably do it from right here. There's a tab here and a tab right there, and I can probably do this one-handed. The whole assembly comes right off there. I just undid that tab. Here's another tab right here. On the other side, just kind of pull out, and that will release the underside. And as you can see here, there's like a swing circular tab here that allows you to swing this like an arm, and you can just disconnect that as well by usually just pulling out, and it'll snap out of place. I'm sorry the camera is not so great for this, but anyway, there's the inside there, and as you can see, they used the red undercoating, I guess. So you could put a white LED or a clear LED bulb to replace that bulb that's right there. I believe that's a 194. Replace that bulb with a white LED, and it'll still produce the red. Now you could replace it also with a red LED. I am going to replace this with a red LED, so it may make that super saturated, but we'll see. I mean, I'm just gonna have to see how it works. But this is the actual the indicator right here. This lights up. All it does is follow the track here where those circles are that are right there next to the gear indicator, and it just follows that track right there. So there is no separate illumination for it. As you can see, this is where the bulb goes, and the overall lighting will actually cause this to kind of glow, but there is no separate bulb for it. This whole thing also just comes right off. It's real easy once you've gotten it apart. It's pretty simple, but I'm going to bring all this in, and I'm going to clean it all out, and see, it just attaches right there. So you can see where some of the light would hit underneath this indicator to also help illuminate it. So once again, if you're really thinking about it, if there's an orangish, yellowish incandescent bulb underneath here that's illuminating the back side of this, and you make it red, it is going to change the color of this orange output here. Okay, just be aware of that. So yeah, all the rest of this is a clear piece of plastic here that's right on top, and it kind of distributes the light better, kind of reflects the light, and allows it to kind of refract, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But so this clear plastic piece, the bulb is literally directly underneath this gray area, and it spreads the light all out. That way there's not one spot that's illuminated and the rest is really dim. So that's pretty much how that works. So anyway, you know, I think that's pretty much it for the removal. I don't really have anything more to say about the entire removal process. If there's any parts that you need to be replaced in your center console, well, here you go. You know exactly what to do here now to replace each individual part. And I believe this whole thing right here is considered a single assembly from the dealership. So if you needed to replace that, then, you know, obviously you'd have to replace the whole assembly. You may be able to get a junk part from somebody, but you know, really easy to disassemble and clean it all out. Now, I'm not really too worried about that crack up there. I'm probably gonna hop on you know, eBay or whatever and see if there's anything real cheap. If there is, I'll buy it. If not, oh well. I'm not really concerned about it. Someday down the road I will be. As you can see here, there's Velcro. That's to kind of keep everything in place, absorb some of the, you know, vibration. GM is notorious for all their cars having squeaks and, you know, all sorts of other sounds that come up after years of having your car on the road. And to solve some of that, you know, they put these Velcro tabs here. They're everywhere, and you know, they're they're just there to kind of absorb some of the sound. Basically, where two plastic pieces meet, they've got some kind of a sound dampener there. The bulb, easy to replace. It just twists and pulls right out, so that'll be nice and easy to get out of there. And you can see that it's burnt. It's been burnt for a while, obviously. So I'm going to kind of replace that, and that's it. I don't know what else to say about this. Hopefully this video has been informative. Yes, it's long. Yes, I'm going to get those comments about, oh my God, you could have summed it up in 2 minutes. Well, you know, for those who like detail, for those who like step by step, that's the way it is. If you get to the end of the video and you're bored, you know, oh well. You know, that's, sorry you lost, you know, 25 minutes of your life. So hopefully that will answer any questions if anybody's interested in doing this. And you know, I guess that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna start cleaning the inside of this out and get everything put back together and replace that bulb, and I'll be rocking. So also the traction control button and my head-up display control, both those bulbs are burned out. I am replacing those with LEDs. If you're interested in that, there will be a follow-up video probably within the next week or so of that. I have only one LED that's red that's left, that's the 5mm, so I have to order some more, so it's going to be a couple days before I can finish that up, but be looking for that within the next week or so. Alright, take care guys.